27.5 wins for the Detroit Pistons, over or under.
It's like Randy Moss said, straight cash, baby. I think with the additions of Jalen Duren, I think what you see in Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham as the leader, Marvin Bagley III still finding himself. They're still young. They still got to figure it out.
Because I do believe Dwayne Casey is the right man for the job now. The first win totals are out in the NBA. Rod Beard put this out today. The Pistons win total in Vegas this year, 27.5. It seems a little bit low. Last year, Vegas's win total for the Detroit Pistons was 25. They won 23. So I'll ask you guys, Braylon, first up here, off the bat, 27.5 wins for the Detroit Pistons, over or under? Do you feel like that's too low? Pulling his wallet out right now and his check.
I'm getting my money out. I'm taking over.
Oh, that's cash money
that's
right there.
That's cash money, baby. It's like Randy Moss said, straight cash, baby.
I have some of that, Bray.
Hey, after the show, I got you covered. Yeah, I'm taking the over on that. You know, we talked about it, I believe, before the show started. Me and Flannel Sam talked about, I think we agreed on 33 to 35 games is where we saw the Pistons improving to the season upon their 23 from last year. I think with the additions of Jalen Duren, I think what you see in Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham as the leader, Marvin Bagley III still finding himself, and we don't know what they're going to do in the free agency before the season starts. They got to at least win 33. Like, I just see that's where the team is going, and the continuity. They're like the Detroit Lions. Talked about them. They're always together. You saw what happened when Dwayne Casey took those guys to the Celtics game in the playoffs to see what this atmosphere feels like. Pistons are on their way up, not as fast as the Lions, but definitely going to win more than 28.
You know, I always say Vegas knows. They do. They'll be within 2 games of that number. So I'll pick the over as well, and I'll say they'll win 29 or 30. That's the max.
So it's funny. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and I said 28 to 32 wins feels right. You know, kind of a 5 to 9 win improvement this year. Because, you know, there's going to be some injuries, going to be guys that sit out, cohesion, this, that, and the other thing. 5 to 9 wins feels about right. So I say 28 to 32. I would go over, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won 25, 26 games.
When you just said something, you was like, you know, there will be injuries, COVID guys sitting out, cohesion. I was like, cohesion, is that a new form of, is that a new strand? Do I got to worry about cohesion? Do I got to worry about
booster?
Tell you to wear your mask. Okay.
No, but you're absolutely right, because with that
worked
being
so
said,
well the first time. Let's try it again.
The same things you say about the same things you say about a team being better in the season. It's the same things you can say about them taking a step back as well. They're still young. They still got to figure it out. Still got to figure out what you're going to do with Jalen Duren. He's still young. He's got to learn. We still don't know what Killian Hayes is going to be. We don't know about the inconsistency that is Saddiq Bey. So to your point, the same things you say when things can be great, it's the same thing on the flip side. So I think it's okay to think 25, but I'm thinking 30. 30 is the lowest that I think the Pistons will go this year.
My man Marcus Ellis on YouTube says, if it's under, Casey's gone. That's what he says.
1,000%.
I have mentioned this a couple of times last year about Dwayne Casey. He's the second oldest coach in the league, only behind Greg Popovich. And it's by a wide margin. I'd have to pull it up. I did the research on it last year. It is by a wide margin between second and third oldest coaches as well. And I do wonder if Dwayne Casey at some point will just elevate up into the organization, or how much longer he'll want to coach all these young guys. I mean, you're talking about players that are. It's got to be the youngest or the second youngest team in the league.
No question.
It's not like there's a bunch of veterans on here. So, you know, I guess he's coach. He's part coach. He's part father figure. He's part mentor. I mean, he's got to be so many different things to so many different players all around the same age.
Yeah.
You wonder if that wears on a guy like Dwayne Casey, who, look, I mean, when he came here, he did not come here to do some total, complete rebuild, by the way. I mean, he came here to...
He was coach of the year.
Yeah.
Yes, to kind of take a next step here, and that failed a little bit.
Both things
it's been a total rebuild.
in the words of Neil Rule, both things can be true. You look at the youngest age in the NBA. You got Will Hart, he's 34. Coach of Oklahoma City, I can't pronounce it, Dagenut, I think is 36. Taylor Jenkins, 37. Willie Green, 40. And then Bickerstaff is 43. And then you go to the older ages in the NBA. You have Pop, 73. Casey, 65. Thibodeau, 64. I didn't know he was that old. Carlisle, 62. And then 60 for Sean Clifford. The average age in the NBA is 48. With that being said, you're correct on both fronts. Dwayne Casey came here because he wanted another crack at it. He wanted a chance to show why he was coach of the year, and they had some pieces in play, and they made the move for Blake Griffin. But as he's getting this thing going, as they've moved away from Drummond and Griffin, and they've gone the young way of Cade Cunningham, now Jaden Ivey, he wants to get this thing on track before he moves into the front office. And I think that's what you'll see. They don't want to bring another young guy in right now and take over this team that's still not there yet. I think you'll see Casey play this whole year out trying to get these guys going. Remember, it was him that orchestrated the trip, and I just mentioned it, to go see the Celtics play against the Heat in the playoff so that he can get them into that environment, see what that felt like, what that smelled like, what this energy was. Now they want to be there. Now you get the continuity, get these guys working out. I think he wants to send them in the right direction, and then he'll be up there with John Beeline in the press box.
I'm watching the Derek Jeter special, part 1 already. Part 2's coming up tonight on ESPN.
I'm waiting until they all come out.
Listen, but he said when he came up as a rookie, he was a 20-year-old kid, and he's sitting there, and he played a couple games, but he was inactive for the playoffs in 1994, and that's Donnie Baseball's last year, 1995, Don Mattingly. So he was first on the bench there, hitting everyone on the rear end and really learning what playoff baseball was. And then Don Mattingly, they lost in 5 games to Ken Griffey Jr.
Seattle.
And the Mariners.
Jay Buhner.
Phenomenal. Jay Buhner's anniversary is today. Yankees trading him to Seattle. Why'd you trade Jay Buhner? He's got a rocket arm. Nonetheless, Derek Jeter said that made him. It made him because he knew what it took to be the leader on that team going forward into the playoffs. Of course, they won the World Series the next year when Don Mattingly retired, which sucked. I wish he played one more year to get that.
Don't make any mistake of what I'm saying either, because I do believe Dwayne Casey is the right man for the job now. The last thing you need is some young coach coming in, especially a first-year coach or somebody like that, and trying to figure it out on the fly as these young players are trying to figure it out on the fly as well. I mean, Dwayne Casey is the absolute right man for this job right now. I just wonder at what point that transitions, because by the time this team is ready to contend for a championship, whether it's 3, 4, 5 years down the road, does Dwayne Casey still want to do it?
And that's why I said both things are true.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he will be the guy for the job for the next year, maybe even 2. But eventually they are going to turn over and they're going to move into the front office. I said both things you said were correct.